Okay, everybody, it's time for the 1.81 Dev Server Roundup, starting with the M1 Improved Abrams. I spaded it out with all the golden eagles that Gaijin thoughtfully provided to me, and so starting off, from left to right on the bottom, you can see the M774 ammo, which is the the best APFSDS you can get. Then the M735, which is the stock, and then the M456 Heat FS, smoke shells, smoke dischargers, engine smoke, and artillery. So let's see what she can do. So there's your pretty standard looking everything here. I mean, it's just an Abrams with better armor protection. And it can fly when it's fully spaded. Of course, when it's stock, it's going to be pretty much like a standard Abrams, but let's see how she does shooting on the move. Alright, just a little bit off with my shot there. This ought to work. Alright, let's take a frontal shot at this T10 here with the best ammo. Yeah, that's not really a shot. Okay, we'll just double check the smoke dischargers fire 6 at a time. Yep, they do indeed. And the engine smoke, which is one of my favorite hilarious modifications there. So pretty much a standard Abrams with a bit better protection. So not a terrible thing to have for all you freeaboos out there. What do we got here? CSU-23. We'll just take you quickly there, sir. So yeah, there's not really much new about it, except it should be better protected. And of course gives you a second Abrams to have in your lineups if you really prefer driving the Abrams. So you could have the XM1, the M1, and the M1 IP now if you really want to bring maximum freedom to bear. And then when you throw some Hueys and Huey Cobras on top of it, my goodness, the freedom possibilities are endless. Alright. I think that pretty much covers it for the M1 IP. I've got a limited amount of time for the dev server, and I want to get as many things covered as possible. So, on to the next tank for America. At 8.0 battle rating, the same as the M163, the US gets a new SPAA with radar-fused proximity shells. The M247 Sergeant York. And, let's get a look at what it can do here. So I've got it, I'm fully spading everything for the purposes of the test drives today, so I figure I'll give you a look at what it can do when it's fully upgraded, even though that'll take a while to get there unless you buy it, but that's okay if you do. So there's a 360 look at it. It's on an M48 hull. And you can, even, these are the best possible upgraded shell belts, but even from the sides, you have a little bit of trouble getting through Soviet armor from the sides. You can set their engines on fire for most of them from the back with the best guns. So some of them, though, like the IT-1 and the T-10 and a couple other test drives I've done with this thing, I've had trouble getting through the transmission in the back. So you're going to want to be careful taking this thing into tank-on-tank combat unless you absolutely have to. I would recommend being really careful and thinking about it really carefully, because you've got some pretty telling high radar dishes on your top of your turret there to let the enemy know where you are. You do get artillery, of course, and you've got a reasonable amount of ammunition, but you don't have backup ammo, so you'll have to suffer the reload if you run out. And here's an X-ray view. You can see the ammo stored on either side and down below of the guns. There's the only 3 crew members. There's a driver in the front, and there's the commander and the gunner. You're going to want to be careful driving this thing as well, because one good shot through the side of the back of the turret, and boy, you're out of it. Of course, you get hit with anything soft, you're probably going to get, or, I mean anything like high explosive or plastic explosives, you're probably going to get a hull break anyway, so. But it does get 12 smoke dischargers eventually, and it does fire them in 2 discharges of 6. The one thing you want to watch out for, though, with this, especially if you encounter an enemy up close in front of you, watch this. Watch the middle and watch how long it takes for the smoke to fully meet in the middle and obscure you right down the center, where you're probably going to be the most vulnerable. Alright, well, it might be the first discharge. On a previous... so it didn't do it there, but on the last one I did this, I fired off the smoke dischargers. The first 6 had a bit more of an angle gap in the center, and they didn't hit... It may just be the first 6 smoke shells leave you a little naked in the middle for a minute before they fully enclose, so... Just something to watch out for. It may have been an anomaly now that I see that, but it also may be the first 6 smoke shells that did it. One thing that's nice about this thing is the rate of fire is supremely good. This is a fast firing gun. You should have no trouble at all taking out enemy SPAA with it, that's for sure. And I think this vehicle is going to feast on helicopters. Of course, personally, I think all the radar-guided SPA are going to feast on helicopters, but we'll see that as it comes. All right, let's do a quick cross-country test here on full cruise control, see what it can do. And then we'll move on to the final American tank. Looks like pretty average speed as far as... cross-country on good terrain here. Looks like we'll probably top out around 26 miles per hour, so not bad. Should be fast enough to keep up with most of your friendly tanks as they advance if you're moving up with them, so should be a decent addition to the high-tier US anti-air capabilities. It's just going to be it's a very tall vehicle with a very large box turret to fire at, so you are a pretty big target. You are a pretty big capability, but you're also a pretty dangerous vehicle, and therefore a pretty high priority target for guys to shoot for, and also pretty easy to kill, I would expect. So just watch yourselves out there, Sergeants York. Alright, on to the final American tank. The USA also gets an 8.0 battle rating premium medium tank, the T-54E1, which was an American prototype tank. As you can see, it was when the US was experimenting with oscillating turrets, like the French eventually adopted. And if you can't see the possibilities for a face, or even a face right there, period, to begin with, yeah, I think you need more imagination, because I see a clown face for sure. So you get 3 types of ammunition for it. You can see there's a solid shot AP, APDS, and AP heat FS rather, and artillery, and of course FPE. Let's see. The traverse isn't too bad. I don't expect this AP to go through the T-64. Yeah, okay, that's not a surprise. Pretty much the kind of protection the T-64 was designed to have. Let's see about the IT-1. Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of trouble going through the IT-1, so that's good to know. So let's try at distance against the T-62. Okay, we had a ricochet off the lower plate. Let's try a hull shot from this angle. Eaten by the track, not a surprise. And can we go through the turret? I kind of doubt it. No problem. Went right through the turret there. So don't discount the stock ammunition. Whoa. That ricochet, though. Don't discount the stock ammo for this thing. It's actually not bad at all. Aside from a head-on shot against T-64s, you're not going to get through that. Let's see if we can get a hit on the T-10 out there. Really? Okay. I don't believe it. Alright, let's take a look at the ready rack here and watch the ready rack reload. I can't believe I just killed the T-10 like that. That was a completely accidental hit, too. I mean, it wasn't like I was aiming there. Alright, so you see the ready rack next to the loader. It's been reloaded, and there's your ammo. So if you want to kill this thing, it's not going to be that hard to do. Pretty much anywhere in the hull, you're going to have a good time killing it. Alright. I can't believe I killed that T-10 like that. I bet we can get through the side of the turret on the T-62 here. Somehow I got through not hitting the actual turret. Oh, wait. Is that... Okay, so the ready ammo is underneath the main gun. Okay, that's a bit of a slow replenishment on your ready ammo rack, so you're going to want to be careful there. Wow. Okay. Yeah, ready ammo. Ready ammo is a bit slower to replenish than I thought. Alright, so that wasn't the ready ammo right next to the loader, so that's good to know. So let's see where the rest of the ammo goes for the ready rack here. There we go. Looks like an auto loader probably on here. I will check that out and verify with text on the screen. But that's looking to me like an auto loader reload, even though there's 4 crew members. Alright. We'll switch over to a Heat FS round here to go after our friend in the T-64 up ahead. Alright, we'll get to take a little quick cross-country speed test here. Yeah, so the main ammo for the, what I assume is going to be the autoloader, if I'm wrong, you'll already know by now, comes from the loader's ready rack to immediately to the left of the loader, and then it'll come from the front ammo racks after that. So speed is about 25 miles an hour. As far as armor protection, I wouldn't expect too much of it, honestly, from the front of the turret. It looks like an M48 style hull in the front, so that will stop some things, but I wouldn't count on the armor to save you too much in this little tiny behemoth here. But the gun looks like it's gonna be pretty nasty, and it is 8.0 battle rating, so if you get a magical down tier to 7.0, you're probably going to have yourself a feast. But if you get up to 9.0, you could have a bit of trouble. You've got reasonably good ammunition to fight at 9.0, but I don't know. I'm going to try a point-blank hull shot on the T-64 with this ammo just to see if you can get through it with the solid shot. Which I don't actually have solid shot loaded, so... Alright, we'll just make sure we've got solid shot loaded. Yep, there we go. Okay, so it's an autoloader. You can already see right there. As it's loading from a drum. Okay, we've now got solid shot loaded. Let's see what we can do through the upper plate of a T-64A at relatively point-blank range. It deflected, but it got his cannon barrel, so I guess, you know, it's not all bad. And APDS, not surprisingly, also doesn't go through the upper plate. Let's see what Heat FS will do. Heat FS got his driver, so... Okay. So there you go. You know what to do for a T-64... T-64A, at least. Okay, that is a quick cover on the T-64, or the T-54E1 for the U.S., It's going to be interesting when people start calling out T-54s and don't realize that they mean the T-54 U.S. Premium and not a Soviet T-54. If America and the Soviet Union are on the same team for matchmaking, that's going to get a little bit confusing. But I'm sure people will specify, no, I mean the U.S. Premium T-54. Germany at 8.0 has a new medium tank, the M48A2G2. As you can see right there. It's a 105mm M48 with the same standard M48 or 105 millimeter ammo that you see on every other 105 millimeter L7 gun. The zoom is not really there. We've got the same ammo as everything else, and we'll get a speed run here while we take a look at the X-ray. It's a lot of ammo stored awfully confined with the crew here. A couple of MG3s, looks like, for coax and rooftop machine guns. Let's see what the fully spaded turret traverse looks like. That's not too bad. Let's check out the coax rate of fire here. Be a little dangerous against airplanes, I think. Of course, the Heat FS rounds, as expected, are going to be probably your best ammo. We'll check out Hesh here and see how it goes against this T-55A. See what kind of damage we can do with a Hesh round. Well, I didn't quite hit where I wanted to hit. I hit the splash guard for the driver. Let's see what happens if I hit a little bit lower. Seems like it's a reasonable round, but probably hold you over until you get to the Heat FS if you're grinding them all out, but you're going to want to get the Heat FS for sure. For sure. As you can see right there. And fuel just ate all that shot. But if there's one thing that Hesh is good for, it is taking out soft-skinned SPAA. So, an M48 for Germany, if you are into the history of the Cold War on the ground in Europe in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, this should appeal to you somewhat. And otherwise, if you just want a new M48, there you go. It's relatively mobile as far as being fully spaded. I'm not sure how it's going to be when it's fully stock, of course, except for probably painful. So that pretty much covers it for the German M48 for 1.81. Actually took out the driver in the turret ring. I'm actually surprised there. Germany gets a new light, well, it's a light tank, I guess, but it's also like an upgrade to the Begleitpanzer here, and that is the TAM, or the TAM, or the Tank Argentino Mediano, so Argentinian medium tank. So here's an X-ray. You can see where the ammo storage is. You got quite a bit of rounds in the back, and then some up in the turret bustle, and some to the side of the driver, or the loader, I mean, rather. Your driver's up front with the engine to the side of him, so you can set this thing on fire through the front pretty easily. And you ultimately, the best ammo you're going to get here is the DM-23 105mm APF SDS round, which I just barely missed my shot there. You also get smoke rounds. There are Hesh rounds, and there are APDS and Heat FS rounds, as you can see. So I didn't bring the Hesh rounds because there's only 4 slots, and I figured smoke rounds would be useful to see what they can do. So let's see what kind of shell drop we get on the smoke here out at distance. We'll shoot one at the ZSU-23. Not too bad, actually. So there's 8 smoke rounds, which I assume is going to fire all 8 at once, but we'll test that in just a moment to be sure. We'll get a speed test going here, and we'll check out the replenishment on the ready rounds. Okay, smoke away. It does fire off all 8. That's probably not surprising. It's only the French tanks that generally get 4-round bursts of smoke, so... It's an interesting tank. I wouldn't count on your armor much to save you, but the turret is neat. And let's check out the coaxes here. slower rate of fire. They're not MG3s, which makes sense, of course, because it's an Argentinian tank, not a German tank, so... It's in the German tree because it was a cooperative project with Germany and Argentina. Imagine that, Germany and Argentina cooperating. But, oh, the depression off the back deck is actually not as good. I forgot to test that on some of the other tanks. So that's something to watch out for. Your gun depression off the back deck is not great, so watch out behind you. However, all the rest of the ammo seems pretty good. I brought the APDS rounds, the stock APDS rounds along to test them out. They're obviously the standard 105 German APDS. So you're going to want to watch out for those. They're probably not going to do a lot for you against heavily armored Soviet tanks from the front. But as long as you aim carefully, you should be able to get through the weak spots, which is going to probably call for getting on those angles. It's your best chance of getting through, so you can get through, you've just got to be careful about where you aim. And then, of course, if you get a side shot on a T10, you still might not get through all the way, so watch yourselves if you're taking on T10s, which you are fairly likely to see with this. And then T64s, T64As, you can get through the lower plate with the stock APDS, so you just got to be careful with your aim, and you should be able to do some damage to most of the Soviet enemies you're likely to encounter. So with that, we'll see about a long-range shot on this T-64B here, and then we'll wrap it up. It is a stabilized gun, which is nice to see. Let's see if we can hit him on the move as soon as we get a clear shot. No problem. So not surprisingly, APFSDS is going to be a good round for this. However, the amount of modifications, the sheer number of modifications that the TAM is going to get is going to be something else. Should be kind of rewarding when you finish off each tier of modification to get research bonus. But boy, is it going to take you a minute to get through all that research. Should be a fun vehicle, I think. I'm kind of looking forward to getting it. It does have scouting ability, too, as it registers as a light tank. So not only will you be able to scout vehicles, you'll also be able to pull up alongside any teammates and help them repair. So, important thing to note, and it's pretty fast too, so should be a useful, fun little tank, just very dangerous to expose yourself to enemy fire, and watch out for that directly behind you shot, because you're going to have trouble with that one. Germany also gets a high-tier premium, the Leopard A1A1 with the L44 120mm gun, or as you might want to refer to it, the Leopard 1A6, or the Leopard 1 with 120mm, or a whole bunch of other ways you may want to refer to it. It is a 9.0 premium. It's got a nice 120mm gun, just a little bit of drop on the shells. Of course, it comes stock with all the ammo you're going to get because it's a premium. And it is a Leopard A1A1, so let's get a look at the speed across terrain and get a look at the ready ammo replenishment. Look at that ammo rack right there. Wow, you're probably going to want to drop your ammo count down just a wee bit. Holy detonation, Batman. We've got 4 crew members, so that's good, and there is actually enough room in there with that giant extra cannon breech. They redid the mantlet to get the 120 to fit in there, so you still get the same turret with a much larger gun. So that's a nice little bonus. And at 9.0, it's not too bad. You're going to want to watch out for T-64Bs, obviously, from the front. As you saw, we had some trouble getting through. Let's see how the 120mm Heat FS works against a T-55. Not surprisingly, it works really well. Got a stabilized gun at certain speeds. It's a little bit, traveling at maximum speed right now like I am, it's a little faster than the stabilized gun can handle. But, not too bad. You should be able to shoot pretty reliably on the move at full speed. You may want to hit the brakes, though, and take advantage of the gun immediately stabilizing as soon as you slow down just a little. So possibly, I would say recommend probably travel at high speed, but then slow down if you've got a target that appears. Make sure you can get that first shot hit, because shooting and missing is not going to be a good thing with this, even though the reload is actually really fast. We've got 8 smoke dischargers. The mobility's not bad. It is a premium, of course, so if you ever wanted to have a straight out of the gate, fully combat ready Leopard A1A1, here's your way to do it. I don't recommend pre-ordering anything until you at least see the dev server footage of not just myself, but everyone else who's going to put it out, because a lot of guys will actually get into battles on the dev server, which I don't expect to have time to do so. I've actually got to get to work here in a little bit tonight. But at least don't pre-order any of these things until you see what they look like in some combat situations. Yeah, smoke dischargers fire off all 8, so you've got 1 deployment of smoke, so I would recommend using it for critical cover situations, like capturing a point, repairing, or maybe hiding yourself from an airstrike, or from a helicopter. Yep, so you can see they're not fully stabilized at speed, so see a target, probably hit the brakes just momentarily, it immediately comes to a nice stable gun platform, and then you can dispatch your enemy after that and then get back to speeding up again. So because it's premium, the acceleration's not too bad. You get all the modifications right up front, so it's not a bad tank to have if you want a high-tier grinding vehicle for Germany, and now that they've limited the ability for people to buy their way into highest tiers by simply buying the tank and starting driving, they'll have to get a little bit of experience. Hopefully we won't see quite so many people with just the 9.0 or 10.0 or 9.0 premium in their highest tier lineup and then nothing else to back it up except for some reserve tanks. So hopefully that situation won't happen anymore. I would definitely recommend that you drop your ammo count down though, because my goodness, that frontal hull detonation rack right there is terrifying. The Soviets get a new main battle tank at 10.0 battle rating, the T-80B. And let's see what its best APFSDS can do against an Abrams front plate. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have too much trouble. That's perhaps not surprising. Let's see how the oh look, that giant ammo rack is going to be a problem for the poor premium Leopard. Alright, so it does get an ATGM, relatively fast firing, or relatively fast traveling, I mean. And the reload seems pretty good. Let's see about the gun stabilization on the move. Not bad. You do get smoke dischargers. They're actual smoke dischargers, and you get 2 discharges, so that's good. They're not the big engine smoke barrels that drop off the back. And you do also have the engine smoke system. Useful to have, and probably will never not be hilarious for me. Mobility cross-country in a fully spaded state is obviously very good. Here's the stock APFSDS shell. Check that out on the move against an M60 Rise. Not a lot of trouble there. MBT-70 I don't expect you'll have too much trouble with either. And a Chieftain is the only thing that I predict might be a little bit of trouble through the turret face. Chieftain Mark 10 still actually went through, so APFSDS on the Chieftain Mark 10, not an issue. The Challenger might be more difficult with the stock ammo. But yeah, not a lot of trouble with most of the enemies you're going to encounter. Probably not too much that's going to be too dangerous for you here. Should be a pretty dangerous tank for the Soviets to control at 10.0 battle rating. Turret traverse is alright. Here's a hull x-ray. You've got the same auto-loader configuration with all the ammo stored down in the underside of the turret carousel. So that's going to be the biggest weakness. The frontal plate looks like it should be pretty good. But if anything gets a shot through your side there and hits you in either your engine or your underside of your turret carousel, you're probably going to go up like the 4th of July. Mobility is not bad at all, which is actually kind of nice. Now the important thing here is, let's test out what is the Soviet reverse speed like. Alright, well, 6 miles an hour in reverse is better than most things you get for the Soviets, which is usually 4 miles an hour. And the gun depression off the back of the tank's actually not bad. Let's check the gun depression off the front. Let's see if the Soviets figured out gun depression on the T-80B. Yeah, it's not too bad. I'd call it acceptable, without knowing what the actual number is for it. Yeah. So I think the T-80B should make some people happy, until they start asking for all the other T-80s 2 days after patch release. This should be fun for all the Soviet tankers out there. At 7.7, the Soviets get a new vehicle in their light tank tree, which is the BMP-2. It falls in between the BMP-1 and the Object 906. There's your X-ray. You've got some ATGMs. Get 4 ATGMs and a 30mm cannon, which I would recommend you be very, very careful engaging armor with. Make sure you've got an advantage with it. You get 500 rounds, and the upgraded ammo is APDS. You only get one set of ammo, so you can't bring multiple ammo types with you, it appears. Let's see if the ATGM can do anything against an Abrams. Not really. Not frontally, anyways. It is a mouse and keyboard, or a mouse-guided missile, so that's good, a SAC loss. That's good for you. So you... one of the upgrades is the BMP-2, and that gets you extra side armor, but that comes at the cost of being able to cross water, so probably not a big loss for most people to put that on. It'll just take away your ability to be sneaky in some places. The 30mm's got a pretty good rate of fire, that's for sure, so it should be pretty useful for engaging aircraft. It's almost like a 30mm SPAA without radar on it, so that might not be the worst thing to have to use this for, be protecting teammates and squad mates against air incursions, especially when helicopters come along. You're probably going to have a real good time taking out helicopters with this thing. Speed seems alright. You can fire the missiles on the move, which is nice. You're not going to have a lot of armor, and I don't think that additional side armor is going to stop much, except maybe SPA shooting at you with so you can certainly get through side shots on most armor, no problem. I don't think you're going to have too much luck with frontal shots unless you use your missile. You do get the engine smoke system, which is nice, and you also got smoke dischargers. Let's check those and make sure. Oh, they only fire 3 at a time. It's kind of handy. I did not expect to have 2 launches of the smoke grenade system. They seem to fire a bit offset, though, so that's interesting. Can't get through most of the frontal armor on most main battle tanks, I would expect, though you may be able to damage their gun barrels and use that as your tactic. Oh my goodness. Ouch. I don't imagine we'll have too much trouble with the Type 87 with the autocannon here. The not Bushmaster autocannon. Alright, let's get a long-range side shot against this Abrams here with the missile and see what it does. I imagine it's not going to have too much trouble. As I expected, not a lot of trouble at all. Alright, I'm going to restart the this test drive real quick, and I want to drive up and engage the Abrams in its side armor with the 30mm autocannon on this thing with the APDS rounds, so be right back. Alright, let's go engage the Abrams real quick from the side with these APDS rounds. Okay, so we'll try from right here. Yeah, it gets through without any trouble from close range, so let's, we'll just back it up a little bit. Have to take it down the hill, because otherwise we'll lose sight of him. So we'll get a little farther away, and we'll see about where we start losing effectiveness on the side armor of the Abrams. Looks like maybe that didn't go through. Okay, hang on. Let's hit the actual side armor. Alright, don't think we're getting through here. Okay, never mind. I was wrong. I was wrong. We were definitely getting through. Alright, so if you encounter an Abrams in this, you should be able to take it out from the sides and the rear. Obviously, that's going to be a tricky opponent, and I'd say your chances of success are probably not great. But, you might be able to pull it off. That's your best chance, is to try and get alongside of them, or around behind him, obviously, if you can help it. Now, since this is a light tank, in light tank classification, you do get your scouting and repairing abilities, so make good use of those and protect your teammates, I would say. So it looks like the smoke dischargers fire 2 from one side and then 1 from the other, so that's an interesting discharge pattern. Pretty neat. Should be a fun vehicle. Should be an improvement over the BMP-1, and still not quite as good as the Object 906. The Soviets also get a 9.0 premium tank, the T-55 AM-1. You can see there's quite a lot of ammunition choices. In fact, there are more than you can bring into a single battle. So, not really surprising. The best round you're probably going to have is your APFSDS. It does also have an ATGM, which we'll actually try against the Abrams lower plate here once we get the reload. I switched ammo type, so that takes a minute. So we'll see what we can do with it here. So it's very similar to the T-62M1. Okay, that ATGM went right on through. So essentially it's a T-55 with the T-62M's type of extra armor on the front of it. And the ATGMs are, of course, mouse guided, so that's good. You can fire on the move. We'll get our X-ray view here. Quite a lot of ammunition in here. The standard ammo spot behind the fuel tank to the right side of the driver. So pretty good spot to aim. If you get a side shot, go for the front of the hull where the driver is. And it looks like it should be a halfway decent tank. The 105mm gun will start to show its age a little bit against some targets. Frontally against an Abrams, you might have some trouble, but for the most part, the things you're going to encounter, you shouldn't have too much trouble getting through them. The ERA actually stopped my AP FSDS there on the M60 Rise, which is surprising. But for the most part, you shouldn't have too much trouble getting through most enemies. It does have a smoke round, which is handy, and pretty decent anti-air capability. Just missed him. And of course, you've also got 105mm Soviet APHE rounds to use, or APC-BC to use, which is not always a terrible thing if you can find the right target for it. So a high explosive round that can get into the enemy's hull is never really a bad thing. So watch out for opportunities where you can use that round, because you're very likely to get a one-hit kill with it. It also has smoke dischargers and the engine smoke system. Not surprising. Again, double deployment of smoke. And then 3 rounds of the engine smoke, which is definitely the best kind of smoke that there is. And you also get smoke rounds, so you can project smoke ahead of your advance, or fire it at an enemy to blind them, or provide smoke cover to your teammates who might be capturing a point or something. So yeah, should be a decent premium. If you want to have a high-tier Soviet grinding tank, you could probably do all right with this. You could also put a talisman on something else that you really enjoy driving at high tiers, but the T55 AM should be a pretty good improvement over the basic T55. I think it should work all right. Plus, having access to all the ammunition immediately, that's kind of hard to beat. And when you think about the teammates you might have, if you get a full up tier, you're going to have T80Bs on your team, and that's not a bad thing either. I think it'll be a decent premium, but we'll see how things go. Like I said, don't pre-order it until you at least see a bunch of game footage from other people here. You can, there is a combo pre-order with Soviet helicopters, I believe, with one of the Hinds, so if you can't wait to get your hands on Soviet helicopters, that's probably not a terrible package if you want to spend that kind of money on a couple of premiums on a tank and a helo. So knock yourselves out, I say. It's your money. At 8.3, the British get a light tank and APC, the FV510 Warrior, shown here with its additional armor package on the sides. I'll get an X-ray for you there. You can see the reloads for the 30mm gun and the Milan missiles in the back. Let's punch a missile off at this T-64 and see how it works. Missiles seem relatively controllable right here. The ultimate ammo is the 30mm APDS. Until you get to that, I recommend extreme caution when engaging enemy tanks, as in, that is to say, don't do it unless they absolutely force you to. As you can see, the rate of fire on the 30mm is not very fast, and you're not going to get through most Soviet armor from the front. So be real careful engaging them with your main gun. I would say probably scout them, and then give them a missile. And you're going to want to watch out for those missiles, because maybe they haven't quite fixed the missile issue. So your 30mm APDS is good, but it's not going to get through a lot of things. Let's see if we elevate a little bit, if we can get the missile to hit. Okay. So watch out for that missile drop. Now this is the dev server. We don't know what the final flight paths of missiles are going to be, but I wouldn't expect that to be a high priority thing for them to address. So be careful with your missiles, and I would say probably try to elevate them a little bit before you fire them to make sure you actually get the hit that you want. Because your backup gun is not going to be the best thing for engaging armor, and although you've got some extra armor protection on the front with the additional armor package, I would not expect too much to not immediately completely destroy you and hull break you in this thing. So we'll get a little mobility check here, and we'll fire at our friend the ZSU-23 on the move. We've got a stabilized gun. That actually ricocheted. We've got a stabilized gun, but it's not very stable on the move, so this is definitely a situation where I would recommend, like the Leopard, come to a stop, engage your target, and then get moving again. Smoke dischargers, you've got 8 smoke grenades. It fires all 8 off at once. So you've got 1 shot, and then you'd better find a way to get yourself to some better cover, or get on the horn with your teammates and have them come to your aid if you're in any sort of trouble. Rate of fire is not exactly there, but the armor pen from the side isn't too bad with the APDS rounds. Let's check out the other ammo and see what we can do. Alright, T10 probably not the best representation of what we'll be fighting at close range, but probably also the worst case scenario, so not going to get through a lot. Essentially, this ammo is the same for the first 2 ammo belts that you can unlock. All that changes is the ratio of the API to the AG, so not a lot of hope for facing down a T10 with the main gun there until you get the APDS. And even with the APDS, let's see what we can do in the back of it. Okay, APDS rounds go. APDS rounds from even this close range are just getting the transmission. I don't know if we can even get through the turret. Even at point blank, I'm not sure we can get a turret penetration on a T-10. Doesn't look like it. Okay, that one got through, so don't hit the sloped bit. Get right down here and aim and hit the rounded off part of the armor, and you can actually get a good shot on it. Still, though, it's not something I would want to be messing around with too much. I would probably hit it with a missile or call in the target for a teammate to destroy. Let's see if we can give him what for with a missile here. Yeah, that worked pretty well. The Milan missile is probably not going to have too much trouble with too many enemies. Let's see what it thinks about the frontal armor on a T-64A. Well, it thinks that the ground is an appealing target, is what it thinks. Let's see if we can damage his cannon. Not directly. You're going to want to be real careful engaging Soviet armor from the front. You can damage the gun barrel. You can also shoot clean underneath a T-64. There's a moment for the Thunder Show right there. That was one of the funnier things I've ever had happen to me in a test drive. Oh my goodness. Alright, there we go. So aiming well above your target from close range, you can get a pretty good hit with your ATGMs. ATGMs are something that are great and terrible in this game. You've got to be real careful with them. I think this will be a fun vehicle. It's kind of nice to see some sort of APC type vehicles coming into the game a little more. I don't know exactly how much utility they really have for War Thunder, although at least with the scouting mechanic, they've got some good that they can do. And, of course, all the ones that carry ATGMs, well, that's not a terrible thing either. Because if you can take out a T-64B from quite a distance like that from the side, you'll definitely be doing some help for your team. Okay, well, that's it for Britain, unfortunately. It looks like one vehicle, no airplanes, and they don't get any helicopters in this first patch either, but I'm sure they'll come along. It's pretty hard to ignore things like the Westland Lynx and other helicopters that the British had. So let's move on to the next test drive. The French get one new tank at 6.7 battle rating, the Char 25T, which translates to 25-ton tank. It gets no ammo upgrades, so you've got a 90mm gun with 90mm AP and 90mm HE. Let's see what kind of fire we've got on it. That's not too bad. I wouldn't really expect to do too much damage to a T-64B from the front here, especially if you shoot over it. But, yeah, I'm not really holding a lot of hope for actually doing damage. I mean, I guess if you shoot directly down their cannon barrel, it'll work alright, but let's see what kind of speed we can get here while we take a look at the X-ray view. So there you've got your ammo stowage. Ammo stowage with a fuel tank, it looks like. Fuel and maybe radios and other equipment right there, right next to the driver. You got your transmission up next to the driver. I guess that's the engine. I guess that's actually the engine pack. Yeah, that's what it is. That's the engine right next to the driver. I didn't recognize it because it doesn't look like a traditional engine. Big fuel tank in the back of the vehicle, looks like. Probably another fuel tank right there to the side, right next to the driver's head, maybe? I think that's a fuel tank. We've got an auto loader, and you should be able to scout as it is. Actually, you know what? It's a medium tank. It's not a light tank either. Close range side shots shouldn't be too much of an issue. Let's see what a side shot on our friend the IT-1 from this range looks like. Actually, a rear shot. It's a pretty flat shooting 90mm gun, actually. It's deceptively for me. There we go. Got through the turret all right. Should be an interesting tank to have. It's a pretty low silhouette. You've got, obviously, big whip radio antennas, which aren't going to hide you from anybody who notices them moving, but you might be able to hide yourself pretty low, and with some bushes on the front of it, might be pretty easy to get this hull down behind a hill. Mobility is alright. You've got just 4 smoke dischargers. And let's see what the velocity is. Yeah, the velocity on your HE shell is actually pretty good as well, so should have a decent time firing HE at enemy SPAA. But I wouldn't recommend probably bringing too many HE rounds. Probably 2 to 3 would be the most I would probably bring. And I would probably certainly cut the ammo down to half. Let's see if we can deal with a T-10 at close range from the side. Pretty sure we ought to be able to get through. We'll try that again with an actual AP round. Yeah, okay. I was pretty sure I was going to test whether or not we could get through the side of his turret as well, which I believe we should be able to. Let's see about the reload here. So the autoloader drum, obviously we fired empty there. So we'll wait for that to reload. Get some more ammo in. There we go. And let's see what we can do with the turret side, the side turret of a T-64A. I think we should be able to get through it. Nope. So you come up on a T-64A from the side. You are not going to want to shoot the side of his turret. I'm pretty sure we can get through the hull. We'll wait real quick for the autoloader to get reloaded here. And then we'll put a test shot through the side of his hull, and then we'll move on. Reload the drum, and then the drum has to reload the gun, and then we can fire and have not too much trouble getting through there. So you can deal with Soviet armor with the 90mm gun here. You're just going to want to be careful about where you aim, for sure. So that's it for the test server for today. I focused on the tanks. I got pictures of the modification upgrade paths for the helicopters, but I've got to get used to the flight model for the helicopters a little bit. It's actually not that bad. I just have to get used to what controls do what before I can fully test the helicopters for the dev server. I've also got to get ready to go to work, so I just don't have time to get a full helicopter test drive session in. So I probably am not even going to get this video out tonight. It's going to be tomorrow morning, I think. But I will get to the helicopters on the dev server as soon as I can. And in the meantime, there should be plenty of other War Thunder content creators who have got a plethora of helicopter content out from the dev server, and I would point you towards any one of them, as I'm sure they probably are covering it in some depth. The gun is not stabilized, but as far as the 90mm AP round, it's not too bad. You can deal with most targets. You just gotta hit them in the softer parts of their armor. It should work pretty well. Thank you everybody for stopping by and checking this one out. We'll see you all soon for more War Thunder content, and take care everyone. Have a great night.